The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. I'm Nikki. Such exciting news over here. I just think that I got an in on Taylor Swift tickets for an upcoming show from a friend of mine that I randomly, like, this just shows you how things can all come into place. I texted a friend who lives out in LA. I don't want to say any names because I just don't want to jinx this, but I texted her because I really can't wait for the Barbie movie. I'm so excited about the Barbie movie. I honestly don't think it will live up to my expectations. I think it's going to be the funniest movie of the year, maybe of the century. And I just can't wait. Even though I did think that little clip that they had where her shoe was her foot slid in the shoe and her foot stayed the same. Everyone was losing their mind about that. But I was like, it's not that big of a deal. If that's, I do still think it's going to be amazing because Greta Gerwig is writing and directing it. Anyway, I'm very excited about it. And did you guys see the Ken song that he released? No. Or that they released of him singing about I'm only Ken. And it just it seems like it's going to be the story of Ken feeling like he's nothing without his connection to Barbie and him setting out to be his own person. And Ryan Gosling's just so funny as this Ken doll that's taking himself so seriously. And anyway, so I wrote her to being do you want to go see Barbie opening weekend? And she was like, I don't get back till the 24th, but as soon as, and it opens 21st. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And then she was like, but I do want to go to Taylor Swift with you because we had talked about this before. And it's early here, for me to text. No, it's 11. And she was like, no, but I do want to go see Taylor Swift. And I was like, I do too. I've spent X amount of dollars already on her. And she goes, I'm willing to spend a lot of money. I'm like, I am too. Let's do a podcast about it afterwards to justify it. And maybe we'll make some money back that way. And I was like, and I go, I'll look into tickets later. And I was like, I'm going to try to get a hookup, but probably not because it's LA. And then she was like, you just gave me the courage or you just gave me the, what did she say? I just took a crazy embarrassing risk, OMG, and texted blank blank about a hookup. And she said, yes. And she said, I have texted with her once before and was so scared to ask. But once you said you were in it, it gave me the strength to do it for us. I'm so excited. And the person she texted, any Swifties listening know this person, and it's someone who's very close to Taylor. So it's just so nice. And if any, I think it would be really fun. I will agree to meet Taylor if this person gets us tickets because this person's going to see Taylor that night, I would think. Anyway, I'm very excited. It was very good news starting the show.
I'm crossing my fingers.
I was going to try to do a podcast without mentioning Taylor, but here's the thing about Taylor Swift. I don't even bring her up and she comes up all the time. People think that I'm constantly bringing her up, and I did today, and I do often. But, did I tell the story about the barbecue that I went to over the July 4th kind of weekend?
No.
Prior to that, I was with this mixed company that I was just meeting these people for the first time.
Biracial?
And what?
Biracial?
Oh, mixed. It was friends of friends of friends. And there were all these people and we were walking in late, Chris and I, to this barbecue. And I felt really awkward because when you walk into a party, you expect people to be like, hi, oh my God, these people are here. And they kind of knew we were coming, but no one got up, and they were kind of it was as if we came out of the bathroom or we went inside to get something and we'd been there the whole time. I felt like a bizarro world of wait, but it doesn't matter. It was just the vibe, And so I was feeling awkward, and I was like, oh my God, did I say something? I just already was feeling tense, and they maybe didn't want us there, which wasn't the case. But and we had just driven 2 hours from the airport, and we were getting there, and the barbecue happened probably at 7:30, and it was 9:15, and I was scrounging around their leftovers for food. I just felt like I was not wanted to be there. And but then I was like, oh, I'll sit down and have a chat. And then it was fine. And then at one point Taylor Swift came up. I did not bring her up. I was not wearing a Taylor Swift shirt. I was wearing a Kendall Roy shirt. There was nothing that I don't even know how she came up, but Taylor Swift comes up all the time, and listeners will know. Just start paying attention. She comes up. People talk about her all the time because she's the biggest star in the world. Even Ringo Starr said it recently, who's of the Beatles. And I sent my dad that article that said Ringo Starr said Taylor Swift's the #1 most famous person ever of all time. And I was like so excited to send that to him because he's, my dad is the biggest Beatles. He's like Taylor Swift, like I am with Taylor Swift, but for the Beatles. And he, and I was like, see, even your guy thinks she's more famous.
And he doesn't think she's a big deal, or does he?
He's just like, someday it'll be cool to see her in small venues someday. And I go, this girl is never, ever going to do anything less than stadiums the rest of her life. And if she does, it's for like a it's like going to be a special night that is like sponsored by Sirius XM, like the Dave Matthews thing. I saw him at Irving Plaza for like a couple hundred people, but that was like she's not going to do a tour of gastropubs through the Midwest. Like it's never going to happen.
She's never, ever getting back to gastropubs.
Yes, ever. Like ever. And so so we're sitting at this, I'm like picking at this salad that I made from their leftovers, and they're talking about Taylor Swift, and I'm just trying to, I want them to like me. I also am aware that people tend to think that, I don't know, maybe they don't think anything, but I'm just try not to make anything about me, or like, they all know I'm a comedian probably, and I don't want to come in and be like, I don't know. I'm just trying to play it cool and like low key. And they're all like people that are kind of, I feel like a little bit older than me. So I'm a little like impressed with their lives. They're all like married and like have dogs and like they're in good places in their life. And I just don't feel that way. So I kind of am like reverential, and I'm at this picnic table and we're sitting there, and this girl, one of the wives, that's how I identify her. I'm sure she would not appreciate
One of the
that.
sister wives.
I'm very aware that they could be listening. If you haven't noticed how much I'm tiptoeing around this conversation, if you're
But
being
she
like,
loves
Nikki
the salad.
it was. Oh my god, that salad dressing was so fucking. I'm not even kidding you. I still think about it. You know when you like vinegar makes your mouth water? There was like a perfect amount. It was amazing. It was in a mason jar. It was like above and beyond whatever I could ever do. Whenever I go to the grocery store, pause on like just a little. We have to like get off on a dressing tangent. I've never made a salad dressing in my life. I don't trust myself to do that. I want to be a woman who makes her own salad dressing, and just like with some Dijon mustard, a little vinegar, balsamic vinaigrette, and oil, and salt and pepper. I think that's all you need.
It.
Maybe a little lemon.
That's what I do every night. And
But like,
I did
how
feel
do
like
you
a
know
grown up when I learned. Matt taught me.
Really?
It's so easy. It's crazy.
For a dressing like that, but if you wanted to make something like a ranch or like a Caesar,
I'm vegan, no.
Yeah,
that involves sardines and eggs.
Well, you can make vegan versions of anything.
That's true.
But it
won't taste as good.
For my wedding, I got a salad dressing machine or whatever. It's like
Kui?
I don't know what the hell you just said, but I'm assuming yes.
Kui?
A Kui.
What is it? How do you spell it?
I have no idea. I'm just going to spell Kuwait, but it's called Kui.
You put a bunch of ingredients in a little bottle, and it has a little like propeller, like the Titanic propeller that the guy fell onto. It's like in there.
Oh yeah,
around.
that is a famous scene. I would say that is the second most famous moment in the Titanic besides the hand up on the glass falling down. It's when that guy goes woo, and then he hits it, and then he like spins again.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yeah, and then Leonardo DiCaprio holds up a 10 sign. And so it's spinning around, and it really worked for stuff like you described. But I tried to make ranch dressing, and with a recipe, it was repulsive. It was
Wait, what turned it?
Well, first of all, you have to put raw eggs in there, which I don't trust. And just everything I put in there made sense. It was like, this all seems like ranch. And then when I tried it, it made me gag.
I'd be so scared to cook and like have something be. And my biggest fear, people who cook for others, I just want to take a second and just honor you, because you risk them. Like if I tell a bad joke, we're on to the next joke right away. They don't have to finish the entire joke for and it's not going to be the only thing that they get to live on the rest of the night. Like I'm like, you have to only hear about this joke, like
40 minutes.
But like if people come over for a dinner party and they're like, first of all, you have picky eaters like crazy. Everyone has their own thing that like, I can't eat this. Like then you serve them And if they don't like it, some people don't like consistency. Like it could taste great, but the consistency could ick them out. And then they have to, if I saw anyone pretending to like what I ate and like kind of gulping it down, I have so much, what's it called? Admiration for people who put themselves out there cooking for people. Like my mom, the amount of times like we've just been like, I don't want it. Like, oh God, that would hurt my feelings so much. Spending so much time on just being like, this tastes weird. This is cold. Like such little bitches.
Oh, for kids, forget about it.
Yeah, I would never cook for Chris. I would never he's too picky. And I would hate to see him be like, I have cooked things for him, like just warmed up things like in a skillet for him before. And he's even been like, to that. And I'm like so offended. I didn't do it. Like, and I just feel the dressing thing though. Wow, you're a woman if you make your own dressings, or a man.
I can understand that about the cooking. Like sometimes I'll make a meal that takes like hours and hours to make, like a good hearty soup or well, I guess I'm just thinking of soups that take that long.
Sure.
But I make
there are no other examples.
Yeah, when I make those soups, if Allie didn't like them, I mean, she's the only one eating them. It's not like I'm inviting in the children from the outside to come eat it, but only Allie's eating it. And if she didn't like it, that would be really upsetting. But I guess I'm really lucky in that she pretty much likes everything that I eat. But also, not to pat myself on the back, but I'm a pretty good cook.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
did you get to be a good cook, or were you always like? Did you always have a green thumb in the kitchen?
I think it's in my genes because my brother's a good cook too. And I'm not saying we're like the bear level chefs, but I'm saying that we can cook a lot of different meals that are very good. And I've had like various groups of people say that they like what I make, like Allie's parents or like friends when we're at like an Airbnb.
If you like it. If I liked it though, I would be like, I guess I don't care if you guys don't, because I'm deciding if it's good. So
yes. Like
That's
I make
true.
a cream of tomato soup that I love. Like I nailed it, and I searched for a long time for a good recipe, and I couldn't believe I kind of nailed it, because that's one of my favorite things to order. And I'm very picky about like a great tomato, like a spicy tomato soup, and it's hard to find. And I made one. And I'm like, this is really close to something I would get in a restaurant and be psyched about. And I was so happy. And I made like little gluten-free grilled cheese sandwiches with it. And it was so good. And I shared it with Matt, and he was like, it's great, babe. And I was like,
no.
what
You could
is
just tell.
this? Yeah. And then later on, like a couple months later, I'm like, I think I'm going to make that soup again. What do you think? Should I make that or something else? And he's like, you can. I'm not much of a tomato soup guy. But I don't care that he's not a tomato soup guy. Like,
because
that's not
you
my
liked
fault.
it, and it did. Yeah.
Well, what you're
And that's
describing,
a nice way of saying maybe he didn't like yours. He's a sweet guy.
I don't think he likes any, but yeah, maybe he hated mine.
it's just like stand-up. That's what you're describing. It's like the more you cook for people, the thicker skin you get. And if one of your meals bombs, you're like, well, it's not that big of a deal. I'll move on.
But the cool thing about comedians is you guys are, I guess, with a bad meal, people remember a bad meal and can talk about it for a long time. But do you think when you hear a bad joke, you remember it? Like,
Yes.
I don't really.
Yeah.
As an audience member, though?
That's the thing, is like whenever I finish a set and my last joke sucks, I'm just like, the whole set doesn't matter. The hour and a half I've been talking, it won't matter, because, I've said this a million times on the podcast, but psychologically we remember the first thing, the last thing, the best thing, the worst thing. But we generally remember the last thing and the worst thing more than the best thing and the first thing. And more, so you always remember the last thing. And if the last thing kind of sucked, I always, if you've noticed, Anya, when I'm closing out a set and it's not that great, my last joke, I'll go, remember the joke, remember the pedophile stuff. You guys loved that. Like, don't forget the chunk about my mom. Remember that always. Good night, San Diego. I always go, okay, well, that wasn't that strong, but I do have to go. Remember when we were having fun 10 minutes ago and I should have actually closed this out? Because I want to remind them, because they won't remember otherwise. I mean, the countless
but
times
audience
people have said
members
to me
don't
afterwards,
remember the bad jokes. Audience members will generally remember 85% of that set I loved, and then they won't remember the bad joke.
No way.
Really?
I don't. When I go to comedy shows, I can't remember a damn thing. I just remember, I think I laughed the most to Chris DiStefano or something out of the five
right,
people.
but you remember if the comedian closes not as strong, you might still like them, but you won't. There will be that stuck in. It's just you can't help it. There is just that kind of stuck of like it's a little. It's just the if you ever next time you go to a comedy show, try to see on the ride home what you remember and test this out.
It's like you have sex with somebody and they blew your mind in bed, and then right after you finish, they go take a shit.
Oh God, yeah,
on your chest.
Yeah.
Grand finale. Is this the finale? So I'm at this picnic table, and then I go. I didn't forget. And I'm at this picnic table, and they're talking about Taylor Swift. Because I didn't bring her up. She's just in the ether, right?
She's part of the
Eras
zeitgeist.
Tour. Yes. She is the zeitgeist. And this girl goes, I can't believe that All Too Well is about her losing her virginity. Can you, I had no idea. And I go, I didn't know that either because it's not.
Oh,
God. I don't know what happened to me in that moment. I didn't have any animosity towards this girl. I don't know why. What the fuck happened? Something in my brain snapped, and it wasn't me being like a know-it-all. I promise you it wasn't that, because I've analyzed this moment so much.
Were you hangry?
It was me. I was angry. It was me.
Hangry.
Oh, was I hangry? Yes, a little bit. But I was sticking up for someone who my subconscious has convinced myself is a personal friend of mine, who I've spent more time with than any of you, I think, probably at this point. It's that's just the way it is. And it was the same as if when someone says something about a friend of mine that's just a little false, and I just see how damaging it can be to have one little false piece of information out there that can spread. And I just didn't want anyone to think at that picnic table that she lost her virginity to stupid Jake Gyllenhaal, because even though I'm not positive about this, I really don't think that's who she lost her virginity to. I think she lost it to someone else, but I'm not going to speculate who, because it's none of my business. But this was my business, because I just felt like I get that way with my friends. Like Chris has seen it a bunch. Like if someone has a wrong idea about a friend, I snap in a way that I wouldn't do. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not trying to be like I'm the greatest friend, but I get really angry. And but the way I just lay it, do you ever say something and it comes out of your mouth and you're like, duh, you're trying to pull it back? Like the tone is already like you hear the tone coming out and you're like, this is not the way I thought of presenting this. And it's coming out of your mouth and it's too late. And so I just go, because it wasn't. Like I think that's what I said. She goes, can you believe All Too Well was about her virginity? I go, no, because it wasn't. And it just landed. And then everyone, I could just feel the tension. Chris was in the bathroom, but Curran, his
spoons.
Yeah. Curran, his brother was sitting next to me. And it was almost that like moment with Dave Matthews when I was like, funky. And I just felt a hand on my shoulder from Baba Booey being like, calm down. It was like, I felt Curran almost be like, oof, like, is my friend being like weird suddenly? Because Curran's the one that's bringing us into this situation with his friends. And then I instantly went into like, I mean, it could be like, where did you hear that? Like my tone became what it should be. And then on the way home, and I'm just being nice the rest of the time, I'm like laughing at everything she says, like trying to get this girl to like me again, because I'm like, this was so rude out of nowhere. And so then on the way home, I told Chris, I was like, I had a really bad interaction. I accidentally said, because it wasn't. And he was like, okay, well, why do you think you did that? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, I'm sure it was fine. Oh, what was my point about this? Fuck, I was going to say something. Yeah, it was just an ugly moment, but I just feel like, I don't know. I remember the same setting when we were in Lake Placid last year, and I heard a table talking about Pete Davidson next to us. And they were just mouthing off about Pete Davidson and what their thoughts about him, which stuff we do on this podcast all the time, talk about celebrities we don't know.
Right,
but because I know him, not well, but I've known him, I just was like, fuck these people with their little opinions about someone that is not here to defend themselves and is now whipping themselves into a frenzy of like, they're piling on the lies upon their lies about him and these opinions. And I got really loud and I was like, oh, cool. So many opinions about Pete Davidson. And I like said it loud and oh my God, everyone at my table was so embarrassed and like, why do you have to do that? And I'm like, because they need to know that these people walk among you and people that care about them walk among them. And but we're gonna have some thoughts about Jonah Hill that are totally none of our business, and he's not here to defend himself. Coming up right on the podcast, right after this. So stay tuned for that. Okay, we're back. So yeah, let's do Why Do I Care?
Why do I care?
So this is a part of the podcast where we talk about a celebrity news story that we really shouldn't care about, and maybe we do care. But this one is the Jonah Hill text exchanges that were leaked via his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady over the weekend, I guess a couple days ago. So they are not together anymore. Jonah Hill is now currently maybe engaged, maybe married. Definitely has a baby just had a baby, I think, with his wife or whatever it is. And so this is an ex-girlfriend they dated a while ago. No,
I thought this was recent. I thought this was like they
dated a couple years ago, or maybe a year. You know, like I think.
The breakup was August of last year.
Okay.
Or no,
oh, wow.
sorry.
So
these
met
texts
someone
were
new
August of last year. I think they probably broke up 6 months prior to that. So early 2020.
Oh, yeah, August 2021.
Oh,
and they were together for a year before parting ways.
But they were friends.
Well, he already has a baby with another girl. Like, how
months.
did he get pregnant with a girl immediately after sending these texts? I mean, they have don't they have a baby right now?
Yes.
We should have looked this up. Okay. Do you want to check on who
it's
dated
better
who?
to have an uninformed opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, at least we're being honest about we don't really know. Just to say, I did go to college with Jonah Hill. He was in my dorm my freshman year. He was always very nice to me at a time in my life where I looked like a walking skeleton, Mr. Bones. No one wanted to be friends with me besides my close girlfriends. No guys wanted to have anything to do with me, and he was the only guy from a group of guys in our dorm that were like and popular, and he was the only one that befriended me. So I will always love him for that. And then he went away. We all went away for Christmas break, our freshman year. And then he never came back. And we were like, what happened to Jonah? We loved him. And then shortly thereafter, we saw like a trailer for I Heart Huckabees. And this guy that we had no idea was an actor. We knew he was from LA and that he was friends with the guy from Maroon 5. But that was all we knew. Like that he was connected to Hollywood in any way. And then all of a sudden he was in movies for the rest of my life. But he was always nice to me. So... And then I've talked to I think we talked on MySpace a little bit after that. He was always nice and never but I haven't seen him in person since then. And Anya, you ran into him in person, I think, once.
Yeah, I've met him a few times. He was always really cool and seems to do great work on himself. And we talked about that a little bit. I liked his documentary he did with Phil Stutz.
I tried to get Chris to watch it to be like, look at this guy in therapy. Like we watched like half of it and then Chris was on his phone for some of it. And I'm like, can you please put your phone away and pay attention to this movie about men going to therapy? And he was just like, this isn't how I'm going to take care of myself and be convinced.
Through a Netflix documentary.
Yeah. And like, I think it was one of those things where I was just looking at him the whole time and then looking back at the screen like, did you hear that? Like childhood trauma can be kind of like insipid and maybe you don't notice it, but it was there and it was just, I was so obnoxious and we never finished it. But do you liked that with Phil Stutz of The Tools?
I thought it was cool. It was definitely interesting. And I know some people that have worked with Phil Stutz. So, I think it oversimplifies so much of therapy and I don't know if I love Phil Stutz. Well, it's just like, just do this little exercise that I drew. And then, obviously that can't cure you. I think so much of therapy I've found really helpful is really examining the motives and the origins of things and how they play out. But they are great tools. Approach? Well, I can't explain it because I'm not that educated about it, but it just seemed a little bit oversimplified to me. But that's how any 90-minute documentary would be. They can't cover everything.
Also, that's how to get people in is to be like, it's simpler. And then they do it. And of course, it's going to get harder. But like showing, I thought it was good because I thought it was just a good way to get men to kind of consider doing this thing.
Yeah,
that they
totally.
might be.
I don't think, adverse to. I don't like the whole digging into your past and figuring out why you are the way you are. I feel like that doesn't help. I feel like it's like interesting for people to know, I act like this because my mom beat me with a wooden spoon or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
But
you do?
That doesn't actually help. Yeah. But that doesn't actually help you change your behavior in the present to make you happier. And so like I've been to probably like over 10 different therapists over my lifetime. And there was one that made me like answer all these questions in a journal about my past and try to connect things to my past and then put my the things that upset me into a pillow and then beat the shit out of the pillow and scream into the pillow. And I did that for a while and it did nothing. It did nothing for me.
Yeah, I also agree with you about how you go in, and I think there's several like memes about this, like therapy, you just go like, oh, that's why I do it. And then you're like, am I done? And they're like,
am I cured?
No, it just tells you where they are hiding, like the things like, and you can kind of place it. It's kind of like Enneagram or you like anything, any personality test, you go, wow, it's like novel. You go, whoa, this is me. That's so me. But it doesn't do anything for you except kind of go pat you on the back and go, oh, I'm not, you know what it does? It makes you feel like you're not crazy for the things you do, that it's not your fault. And I think
it also makes you a little bit more self-aware of when it's happening. It's just like another reason to pay attention to when it's happening. And that's where the change can start to happen. But I was going to say, like that documentary, Anya, I think I didn't watch it, but probably therapy takes many, many years. So if it kind of gives this view of like, oh, you know, we can improve Jonah in like this 90-minute series, it's kind of like not really truthful.
Well put. I loved a lot of his tools. Like the one that sticks out to me is, and I completely believe this is true, that most of our problems can be solved, or 80% of our issues are you physically taking care of yourself? Like, are you slept? Did you sleep well? Did you eat?
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Does he say that in there?
No, but I mean, isn't that it?
Book.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great thing. And I love that he said that. He's like, most mental health issues can be like, I would say 86% of them or something, I forget the figure, can be solved with, did you exercise?
It's so true.
Did you eat? Did you sleep? Are you hydrated?
Anya, you were even talking about this weekend. You were like you were so underslept and like everything is amplified. Why doesn't being underslept make you like, wow, I'm more happy? Like, why does it have to go the other way? Like, why do you have to just see the world in a negative way? Because I guess you're dying a little bit. And if you don't get enough sleep, you die. So it's like a warning sign to be like, things are wrong, error.
Yeah, if
like,
not sleeping made you happy, you would try to not sleep more and more often until you died. And then those people wouldn't survive the evolutionary. I think I just decided on right now, this moment, that therapy for me is bullshit. And I'm a guy who has been to therapy. Actually, there was one time it helped me quite a lot, but like, I don't know. To me, a lot of the times I'm just talking to a person and I'm like, I'm running circles around you. Like you're like,
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel the amount of times in therapy, I have had some sort of breakthrough where they kind of feel like, wow, I got her there. I'm like, I gave you that because it's like I fake an orgasm. You know, like I had or like I maybe had half of one where I'm like, okay, thanks, you were there. And I like had to you were there to facilitate this, but like I gave you that and I made you think you gave it to me kind of thing. Like I got myself there and then they go like, I think, and it's always, I don't know. And I know that this is just patting myself on the back, but I just feel like I'm emotionally aware of this stuff. I just found myself a lot of times in therapy, and this is my fault, and this is probably something I have to work on with a therapist who won't allow me to do it, but I give them a lot of wins. To like let them feel like they're a good therapist. I fake orgasms. I fake revelations all the time to make them feel good.
Have you guys ever been helped by anything in therapy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course, it's great. I love it.
Well,
but
I want to hear a specific thing.
The number one thing I think therapy is good for most people, not for me, because I'm an open book and I use this as, you know, I talk about my psyche all the time. I don't hold anything back ever. There's nothing in therapy that I wouldn't say here. Literally nothing. I just don't hold anything back. But I think most people do. And so I think that therapy is a place where most people can let things out that they wouldn't let out anywhere else. And that in and of itself, whether you get any feedback that is helpful, just talking and saying things, especially for men who tend to bottle up their feelings and not feel like they can share their feelings, it's a place where you have to do that. And I think it's so essential for them. Like, you know, the one time I always quote this, but it was so cute. The one time Chris went into a like couples session with me and was like, some of those things, like I've never said them out loud. I've only thought. And I'm like, I have never once had a thought that I have not said out loud in my life. What? I honestly, I've never just said something, only had a thought. I mean, maybe that I'm unaware of, but he really was like, I think all these things, but I've never said them out loud. And same with journaling. It just, that helps you. You need to get them out. Being in your head is not the place to solve things. You don't realize how much solving you do when you're able to articulate something with your speech or with a pen. And I think that's what is essential for it. But yeah, I've had, so how many things from my abusive therapist, bingo card, have I, my abusive, Dr. Abusive, have I quoted on here of like, that have helped me? Like the one, I said it yesterday to Brian, we were talking about imposter syndrome. And my therapist was like, oh, so you think you've tricked everyone? So you think you're smarter than every single person that has ever given you an opportunity. All your listeners, all your fans, every network that's ever given you a show, you think you're so much smarter than them, and you fucking David Copperfield, and they're just these dummies. And then when she did that to me, I was like, no, I do not think I'm smarter than everyone else. Like, if you flip it that way, it makes me realize, like, no, okay, now you're being a little selfish bitch to think that you're so much smarter than everyone. And as soon as she just held up that kind of mirror, and the second that she made me think like, imposter syndrome actually is narcissism, because you think you're smarter than everyone and you've tricked people, even though you feel like you're worthless.
That's a great therapy.
It was a great
that
flip.
you took. Yeah, I like
but
that.
for every therapy pearl you get like weeks and weeks of therapy sand, and you never find a pearl.
And my somatic
honestly,
therapist. Oof.
Yeah, it's like it's like I feel like going to therapy is like skiing on a green trail, where it's like at a certain point you're like, I can do the green trail without a ski instructor, and like they never get to the blue squares and the black diamonds. There's just no. I feel like at a certain point you get the tools. I would understand going to therapy if you had no clue about how to like any self-awareness at all, never explored your own emotions, and didn't have any tools at all. But after like a couple of years of that, I feel like you should go on your own. It's up to you. It's on you to do that every day, not go to
you need an outlet then. You need a friend that you can talk that openly to. You need to journal, and people aren't doing those things. So therapy, I think, gives people that outlet. It's like, yeah, you could lift weights in your apartment, but like a gym is a place where someone's going to tell you what exercise. It's a trainer, you know, like you could do all of this shit on your own, but you know.
A lot of intelligent people talk themselves out of therapy too, because they're like, I'm smarter than that. It's for dummies, or it's for people that are really fucked up. But then I've been in therapy with incredibly intelligent people, and both of us can't figure dick out. And I'm like, how are two intelligent people that have both been doing therapy for 20 years be fighting about the dumbest shit? And then
we're creatures of habit.
Because we're
Noah is a perfect example of therapy working for someone so much. Like Noah's always the one, whenever I'm going off on the girls' chat, to be like, have you maybe considered getting back into therapy? Like, she always steers me back into therapy because you had such profound effects from it. And you're one of the smartest people I know, emotionally intelligent beyond anything I could ever be. You always have such poignant, the old meaning that I used to think, words of wisdom. And I know that you weren't like that before. I didn't know the Noah before therapy, but you were like a lost little bird, an angry lost little bird. Right?
Yes.
Wasn't therapy your turning point?
Right. Like for me, therapy, I just like knew that I was destined to have my parents' relationship. And even though like I learned things from my parents that I didn't want to have, even though I was like still like I was conscious of that, I just kept going in the way of creating the things that I didn't want. Like I didn't know how to not get those things. And that's where therapy has truly helped me. And like I was saying, sometimes I'll revert to my old self because it's, you know, like this is stuff from when I was a baby that started like wiring and like looping together. And now I'm like unwiring, and then I have to rewire. And I think it's just kind of like going to be my life's work to do that.
Oh my God. The amount of times that the person I chose, who reminds me nothing of my dad, then does something exactly like my dad, or like or we act out this dynamic that my mom and dad have the number of times that's happened, even though I'm doing everything to not do that and I don't want that, is astounding to me. And like it's just so subconscious, the things that we want to play out. You know, the big thing is that we are always acting out the stories of our childhood to complete them, because we got these like mixed messages, or like these stories, like the story might be like, you don't deserve love. Like your mom didn't give you enough attention. Your dad wasn't around. He didn't hug you or say, I love you. So you're trying to complete that story of like, I am not lovable. Like I got this feeling as a child, I'm not, but like I never hurt. Like I need to prove that to myself the rest of my life. And it feels comfortable because it's what you knew as a kid and you don't know anything else. And so therapy helps you identify those and do your best, even though it's hard, to steer clear of that and do the opposite. I mean, I think we were talking about it yesterday, but Anya, like the reason you ended up with Matt was, or like were attracted to someone like Matt or got him in the end, was you had to do the opposite action of what you were naturally wanting to do. You naturally wanted to reach out to him all the time. You naturally wanted to buy him gifts, or like write him like sweet things, send him like sweet pictures of yourself, convince him, like
do a PowerPoint if you left to your own devices, why we should be together.
Yeah.
Tell him how he needs to fix himself.
But the hard thing was telling him like, you know, this is what I want. And I can't really talk to you unless we have that, and like, and not settling for any less. And so, just, you have someone in your corner with therapy to help you figure out those kinds of actions, and then, you know, help you stick to them.
Yeah, therapy, and definitely like non-therapy approaches too, which is really just like Brian's talking about, like self-reflective work. Stuff where you truly get to know who you are. Like before I got sober and like started in recovery and all that, I was the most passive aggressive person, had no idea of my own intentions at all. And then once I stopped drinking,
What's an example?
Like I remember a girlfriend of mine, this is such a dumb example, but a girlfriend of mine was dating a guy and they broke up, and I ran into him a couple months later. And then I texted her, oh my God, I ran into your ex. And she was like, yeah. And I wrote back like, he's so cute. And she's like, if you want to date him, you can date him. And I was like, LOL, ha ha ha, I would never. Oh my God, no. And like this is in my 20s. Like, oh my God, I would never. Not knowing I was attracted to him, I probably subconsciously reached out to her to get some kind of permission. And had no idea about any of this.
What you wanted from her, and absolutely was, oh my God, you should date him.
Yes.
100%. I don't care at all. I don't like him at all. You should date him. Like clearly there's something there. Yes.
And I
wasn't
remember
giving you
her
that.
saying,
she was calling you out.
Stop being passive aggressive, Anya, and just do. She said, you can date him if you want. And then I did this whole fucking number. Oh my God, no.
You did like
and she
musical.
said, stop being passive aggressive, period. You can like just be direct. You can do whatever you want. I gave you permission. And I called her. She didn't pick up. And she was a badass. She was like a recovery badass person. And I remember I like looked up passive aggressive, thought to myself, this is not the first time someone has called me this. I don't know what this is. And started like, you know, over the years realizing, oh God, I do not know my own motives. Why do I not know my own motives for stuff? I'm too busy people pleasing and trying to do impression management and control everybody's impression of me and like be the good girl and be the liked girl, that I can't be like, dude, I ran into your ex. Would it be so weird if I went out with him? Like how do you feel about that? Like, no way would I have ever said that.
So now imagine you learn that in your 20s. So now you go to therapy now and you're talking about this stuff to your therapist, and then your therapist says something like, have you ever heard of the word passive aggressive? And then
that's exactly what happens in therapy.
What the fuck? Of course.
And you go, whoa. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how I feel now.
This is like dating, but a good therapist, which is an essential part of life, I think, or of self-care, is just as hard as finding a partner. It's not gonna, you have to, that's why you've been through 10. That's why I've been through probably over 30 at this point of different people I've met throughout the years. And it takes a while.
You don't always have to go. It's not like you have to go every week or whatever. Like I haven't, I've been doing some couples therapy, but I haven't been to like one-on-one therapy, I would say in, several months. So it's not like I'm doing it constantly.
Yesterday, I had a really good moment, but I felt so guilty about it. I was on a call with the network that is doing the show. So it's like the people that are like in charge of everything. And they're the ones that
they hold
like
the purse
kiss ass
strings
the most to. Yes. And I had this Zoom call with them that I forgot to get on. And by the way, I was having voice issues when they wanted me to come to this like team meeting with where I would meet them. And so I canceled that day because I was like, I just don't have a voice for it. And I took care of myself that day. And I was also like, we already got the show. I'm going to meet them on set. Like I don't need to do this. And they'll understand. Like I really couldn't make it. So yesterday we were shooting all day. And then like on my little 1 hour break that I have from this fucking 11-hour day, to eat lunch and to relax and to get change out of my dress and everything like that. They're like, you want to jump on the Zoom? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot. So I get on the Zoom and there's like these 3 women that are like so awesome, so nice, so excited. And this is the first time I'm meeting the network, the big wigs. And we're talking about the show and we're so excited and we're like, just like getting to know each other. But my stomach is desperate for the food that I was just stuffing in my face in front of me that I had to stop because now I'm on a Zoom. So I'm like looking at the food. I realized that in 10 minutes, I have to start getting into hair and makeup again. And we've already covered, we're excited about the show. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to meet them tomorrow. They're going to be on set. And then another person jumps on the meeting a little late, one of my people on my team. So I already know that person. They jump on. And then I realized, oh my God, he's jumped on late. We're going to have to do this all over again and go over. We're excited. Here's what's happened. Like, I was just like, see this is not going to end anytime soon. And I had just low enough blood sugar, not enough caffeine, a little too tired, a little too like thinking about my day. And I just was like, I want you to know all too well, wasn't about her losing. No, I had that moment though. I just go, guys, I'm really sorry. I have to be in my makeup chair in 15. I said something like, I have to be back in clothes and dressed in 15 minutes. I haven't eaten lunch. I really, I can't wait to meet you tomorrow, but I'm going to jump off. I have never ever done that to my bosses. Like, can you imagine doing that to your boss? And I was trying to channel Whitney Cummings or like someone who's like, girl, you need to take care of yourself. Like someone just being like, listen to me, like holding my face and being like, you need to take care of yourself, like just do it. And then I was also had the thought of like, no, I'm generally a very nice person to everyone on set, no matter what level you're at. I'm never like, I've heard horror stories about celebrities and like them and the ones that are like aggressive and like stand up for themselves and aren't like people pleasing all the time tend to get more work than anyone. So I'm like, if this goes the way I don't want it to, and they think I'm a huge bitch who thinks I'm better than them and I don't really care about this meeting, which is none of that's true. If they do take that away, it'll only benefit me because everyone likes someone who tends to come off like a cunt anyway. Like cunts get so much work in this town. So in the off chance they do think I'm a cunt, which I'm not, it'll probably benefit me. So I'm just going to do it. And Brian was in the room when I did it because also Brian was at craft services and texting me like pictures of what I wanted. And I couldn't get back to him because if you go to a different screen on your Zoom, on your phone, it goes blank and they know you're doing something else. And they would have thought I was like posting a thread or some shit. So I like couldn't look at the pictures he was sending. And I was like, I knew he was not going to just wait there all day for me to get back to him. And so he was in the craft services far away. And I was like, I'm going to miss out on more food. And all I had was these 2 little dumb side salads. And I was just panicking. And so and then Brian walked back in, coming back from craft service. And then I just like did it. And I was like, I need to pull the plug on this. And I was like, after I said it, and just put down the phone, I was like, oh no. And I instantly texted the 2 other guys on the phone, which are also kind of my bosses, the EPs of the show. And I'm an EP on the show, but they're like EPs and executive Ps. And so I texted them both like, I'm so sorry I had to jump. And I could tell that they were probably like, our talent is like kind of being a little, in the past, I will like go down on the network. Like I'll be like, do you want to just step off to the side and I can like blow you for a couple minutes? Like, thank you so much. I don't deserve this job. Like I will do anything for the network. And it was the first time I ever stood up for myself and was like, I'm doing too much today. I don't need to be having an innocuous conversation on Zoom. We've already covered all the bases. It's just going to be more like small talk. And you showed I can't do any more small talk.
Yeah, you showed up on time.
Yes. I mean, I was a little late to that Zoom, but I did show up. I did it. But I would say 90% of talent would not have done what I did. And I was a little proud that I did, because the old me would not have done that. And maybe it was me. It could have been a bad move, but I'm going to meet them today and I'll probably apologize.
No, I think very good
again.
move. I don't think you
Please
should
don't.
apologize profusely.
Don't apologize.
Agree.
No, people, everybody in Hollywood gravitates towards narcissists for a reason. It's because when you act like you're better than or whatever, then people think like, oh my God, they're probably better than me. Now I have to appease them. So I think the only thing you achieved in that moment is maybe you've raised your status in their eyes.
I know. It's crazy. The thing that I did not want to do is only going to benefit me. Whenever I accidentally come off like a bitch, I'm like, just don't worry about it, because everyone likes a bitch. Why men love bitch. There's like books about it.
I'm not saying you should act this way in life, but in Hollywood, it's like the number one thing to get ahead is to act like a narcissist, like you're better than everyone else. You walk into the room and you make everyone feel like this is the biggest star I've ever seen in my life. And if you go any lower than that, if you go lower than the people you're talking to, then they're like, this person is a waste of my time. I don't need to treat them like anything.
I think this applies to like high level jobs.
Yeah.
Like anytime you're like in a high level somewhere, that's just something that you have to bring to the table.
Also, why is it being a bitch to just take care of yourself? And you're setting the tone. And I like that you're doing it early on, because these people are getting to know how you work and what you consider productive time. So to you, this is a productive length of Zoom. You also are letting them know you have 10 minutes until you have to be somewhere and you have to eat. So you're setting the tone for how this show's going to go. So bravo. Yeah, getting back to Jonah.
Yeah, these are boundaries. You're not, and also there's a line though that you can cross, because you can get too far. We discussed this yesterday also, that woman from Men in Black, which we don't know why. Yes. We don't know why that happened to her.
This is fascinating.
I was fascinated.
Everyone remembers Men in Black, right? The first one.
Yes,
Anya probably didn't see it. Because she didn't see Aladdin or Titanic. This was a phase where Anya was, God only knows what you were doing in 1998 during the summer when all these blockbuster hits came out.
That's when Men in Black came out?
I think it was 98. It was
1997.
Okay. Yeah. Titanic and Men in Black. Did you see Men in Black, Anya?
No.
It's so good.
Okay,
you have to see it. You really do. It's really good. But there was a woman in it who played the mortician who was Will Smith's love interest, and she was amazing in it. And then she disappeared from Hollywood. And I thought, when Brian told me this, I was like, oh my God, we didn't see her in anything else. She must have not fucked Harvey Weinstein. Like, he must have blacklisted her. That's probably what happened.
The initial things were we thought she maybe died, because Allie was watching Men in Black. It's one of her comfort movies. She loves Will Smith, even post-slap. She loves Will Smith. And I was just walking in and I saw this scene with this woman and I was like, I've seen this woman in a lot of things. But then I looked her up on IMDb and her IMDb credits just stop after 1998. She did one more movie after Men in Black and then they just stop. And she hadn't done anything at all since then. And like Men in Black was a huge blockbuster movie. So like
the biggest of the summer, that summer. Yeah, it was crazy.
Her career was all by external looking at it. It seemed like it was going to blow up after this. And then it just stopped. Nothing, not even some indie film, not even some NYU student called her up. Nothing. So she must have died. She must have died or opted to retire for some reason. Maybe she's like, I'm going to focus on my family. Whatever it was.
So you dug into it.
I dug in. I went on my little computer, and I have a really small computer, and I went on it, and I looked her up. Turns out...
No one has ever called it a computer for the past, 20 years.
I went on my personal computer.
I saw a meme the other day that was like, remember when we had a computer room? Remember you were like, it's in the computer room. Like, there's a room in their house. No one thinks about it anymore. It really... Okay,
That's
so anyway, you went in your computer room, you typed in...
I went in my computer room, I logged on to AOL, and I looked up...
That whole thing.
That was also a Dave Matthews song from 97. I looked her up, and then it turns out that she is hard to work with, was the quote.
Fiorentino.
Multiple
I
people,
love her.
Yeah, so what happened? So multiple people said she was hard to work with. Now, one of them was Harvey Weinstein. So that instantaneously makes this seem questionable.
Suspicious, yes.
It's suspicious.
But
she was great. Wasn't she in like What was the movie? The iconic film? Was it The Last Seduction or something? She was so good in. Anyway.
Well, what happened with Men in Black 2? Because that was an interesting story around that.
So Men in Black 2 is going to come out because Men in Black 1 was such a huge hit. And if you watch the end of Men in Black 1, Tommy Lee Jones's character, it's Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. Tommy Lee Jones' character gets a great send-off. It's like he either retires or dies at the end. I can't remember. But he's done. He's clearly out. It was a beautiful ending, a beautiful movie. And it was clear that it was setting up. It was setting up that Will Smith and Linda Fiorentino, they're going to have some kind of relationship after this. And if there was a sequel, it was clear they would be the leads. But then Men in Black 2 comes out, and it's Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, and Linda Fiorentino is nowhere to be found. They don't even mention her in this movie. So it turns out that, according to accounts that I read on websites, so take that for what you will, but Tommy Lee Jones was asked, we got to have that chemistry between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black 2. You got to come back. I know you died or whatever, but you're going to come back. And then he said, I will only do Men in Black 2 if Linda Fiorentino is not in it.
Tommy Lee Jones said that?
Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah,
so wonder what she was like.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard Tommy Lee is incredibly difficult to work with too. So it's sad that
exactly. Maybe he's like, I'm the one who's difficult.
And then also Kevin Smith. Yeah. Kevin Smith said she was hard to work with, but then he apologized for her later. So enough people said she was hard to work with that she never worked again.
Any other data about this? Well, I'm looking at IMDb. Yeah. That is it's not completely true. She did Dogma with Kevin Smith, and that's where that came from. Then she went on to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things. 2000, she did 3 movies, but you've never heard of any of them. 2002, she did 1 more, and then 2009, she did a video. It doesn't even say a movie; it's just a video.
She was a smoldering, sexy actress, and great.
Yeah, she was like striking Maura Tierney.
What about Brett Butler? How she went away, and then we see her again decades later, and she's amazing in the morning show.
I saw her. Oh, was she in the morning show?
Wasn't she?
What was she in the morning show?
She was somebody's mother.
God,
she
I'm
was
so
like
excited about that coming back.
Reese Witherspoon's mom. Witherspoon's
Well, I
mother.
saw her in a Ralph's in 2000, probably 9.
I love that.
8 or 9.
Rock and Roll Ralph's.
And she was shopping at like 3 a.m. because I used to have an eating disorder. And that's when I would go grocery shopping for my binges. And I saw her at 3 a.m. and we were both not doing well in that Ralph's. But she was buying 2 gigantic Siberian tiger stuffed animals from Ralph's, among other things in her cart. And I just remember being like, she's a legend, she's a stand-up. Anyway, we got to go to break. We'll come back with actual Jonah Hill texts and we'll talk about them when we get back. All right, we're back. Let's get into this Jonah Hill thing. Let me read some of these texts. So if you don't know, his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, they broke up last August. He is now with someone else, but they used to wear matching outfits on the red carpet. She's a surfer girl. She's a professional surfer. And she posted on her Instagram story over the weekend, kind of like the first one says, this is a warning to all girls. If your partner is talking to you like this, make an exit plan. Love y'all. Call me if you need an ear. And so she posted text exchange from them. This one is a picture of her surfing. And then under it, Jonah wrote, respect however you want to live your life. You only get one. And let me just say, unless I say there's a period, there's not. Okay. Respect how you live your life. You only get one. And then the next text says, sort of done with explaining myself. She said, 3 removed, not the video yet. Is it my best surfing? It is my best surfing video. Period. Would you feel better if the cover frame was different? ? Any more specific ones that bother you ? I have to say, this comes off as someone who knows they're going to post this someday. But maybe it's just an abused girlfriend or like a girlfriend that's feeling like I've been that girlfriend before, like, whatever you want. Is there anything else I can do for you? But this kind of feels to me like, and this is just my spidey sense of someone who knows that they're going to share this with friends and they want to look more victim-y.
She's like prepping for her deposition with this text.
Well, she is in law school. That's interesting you said that.
This also could be that she really felt this way. So I don't want to, don't come at me about this. It's just, I can't help what my thoughts are. I'm just sharing them. This is not the truth though. Okay. What I'm thinking about this is not what actually happened. So don't misconstrue that I'm accusing anything. And he wrote back, she said, any more specific ones that bother you? He wrote back, yes. One that isn't of your ass and a thong. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. She said, any more ones that bother you? And he said, yes, the one that isn't of your ass in a thong. So the one that isn't of her ass bothers him? No, he meant to say, no, he just, the takeaway from all these, I just want to say before we really get into them, is that he might be illiterate. I don't understand why celebrities who I really respect, who are like, when any of this ever comes out, my general takeaway is that people can't write, and people on text message sound like they've had multiple concussions through their, like they sound mentally disabled. When they write, they sound like 3-year-olds that grabbed their mom's phone and just pressed a bunch of buttons.
Well, you saw firsthand, he didn't finish college, so.
That's a good point. I don't know how he got in with this. He definitely didn't get in through his essay. Okay. So then she goes, fuck it. This is the title of this one. She posts another one. He writes plain and simple, : and then nothing underneath that. Then if you need, : So 2 things that have colons.
There's nothing under the plain and simple :
It doesn't make any sense. And
no,
it says surfing
I get
with men.
If you need. Yeah.
What do you mean?
He's saying if you need surfing with men, modeling, blah, 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 shots in bikinis.
Well, we get that, but
then we are not a good match.
I understand that.
But just say that. You don't need to say like if you need and then all of these lists. Just write it in a sentence.
The thing that's weird to me is that it's plain and simple : and then if you need : so there's nothing under the plain and simple. So if you need : is a subcolon of the plain and simple : so you have to just assume that all of the rest of this in the if you need : is being plain and simple.
By the way, if you thought you were going to get a take on this relationship, you're not. All we want to do today is talk about the grammar of this.
It's
which
really
is a fresh take.
There's a period later in this. It's a space and then a period that's just sitting out there.
I see that.
Can we stop with the space, period, space, and also ellipses being over 3 dots?
3 max.
Can I add one more thing to this plain and simple? I believe that he wrote this in his notepad and then pasted it into text just by the format.
Okay, so the next text, plain and simple, if you need, : surfing with men, boundaryless inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful. Then a space. I am not the right partner for you. Space, period, space. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries, capital W, with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Space, period.
See,
what is that?
This is a person who has been to a lot of therapy, who is now weaponizing the tools of therapy again, because he's trying to say like, look, I'm only setting my own boundaries. These are just me setting my boundaries. And this is why no one should go to therapy. I'm on that train now. Jonah Hill has figured out how to twist it, pervert it.
People are saying this weaponized therapy thing. What's the difference between a guy just having, like, he doesn't want to date someone who has model pictures and post pictures of her ass, and him stating that, and like, he's uncomfortable with that, and being a controlling douchebag? Like, what's the difference between those two things?
I want to be clear here. I love Jonah Hill. I love his movies. I do too. He's incredibly talented.
You're love bombing Jonah Hill right now.
If I ever have a meeting with him, I hope he likes me. Anyway, well, I think like some of these things he's asking for are unfair. Like if he was entering a relationship with a professional surfer, he should know that she's going to be doing a lot of things in his plain and simple : list, like surfing with men, modeling, posting pictures of yourself in a bathing suit. It's like, these are just par for the course.
Maybe he should not date a surfer and just bail out on his own without asking her to stop doing all of these things in order to be with him.
He's shaming her for being who she is, and that's not cool.
That was my initial reaction. Okay. So then
you have a better take?
Well, let's keep going. Then she says, she said, I guess she's texting. I don't know who she's texting about. She is saying, let's see. She wrote, and I asked him to make a list of his needs too, but I think his list ended up being like 5 rules for me. Not anything that he needed, the freedom to do in his life himself. Like his list of needs was not a list of needs. It was a list of expectation rules for me. When we ended it, it's because we couldn't agree on that. And then I stayed friends with him for the next 6 months, and he just kept chalking up our breakup to us being in different places in our life when that's bullshit. That's not the main reason it wasn't working. So he kept me on as a close emotional confidant after the breakup, sexting me on July 13th, 2022, visiting me at, that's almost the anniversary of that. Visited me in my apartment in my hometown early August 2022, and then waited till a week after I moved to Hawaii for law school to send me a text being like, by the way, I'm in a new relationship. Okay, nothing of that sounds bad. Like, at what point is she going to take any accountability? You stayed friends with him. Like, you don't have to be his emotional confidant. Maybe you stop and pull out. Like, I just have a problem a little with like, why did you keep going? But then people will come at me like, well, she was in an abusive relationship. You can't get out of that. He tricked her. He manipulated. And then she said, then there's a text exchange with them both. And this is from August 30th, 2022. That's what she labeled it. She said, what's tomorrow like for you? You free anytime between this and this? He said, I don't want to bail on school on you to bail on. I don't want you to bail on school. That's important. No period. That's all one sentence, you guys. I know I don't need to, but in the spirit
text. School
What'd
is important.
You say?
As you can tell from my text grammar, school is important.
I know I don't need to, but in the spirit of pure respect to our friendship and appreciation for each other, I did not want to be transparent that I did start dating. I did want to be transparent that I did start dating someone recently. I'm sorry if this is painful. It just happened, and I didn't want to not be transparent with you ever, as I care about you. She said, thanks for letting me know. Probably best if we don't talk for a while and you figure out where that's headed. He said, I appreciate and understand that. Okay, there's nothing bad there. That seems okay. Then the next day, she texts, not that it's really my business, but out of my own personal chicks before dicks code, if that's headed anywhere other than hookup or fling, I'd appreciate it if you make that woman aware of how recently you've been flirting with me, sexting me, and leaning on me for emotional level support on me for partner level emotional support. And he goes, I'm sorry, what? And I have the same reaction. Fuck you.
Yeah, now
he can date. You weren't dating him. You were texting him, and you guys were both probably leaning on each other. And you're fucking mad that he's with someone else. And so now you're like, you got to let her know that we have been seriously talking and everything. And it's like, what? No, he doesn't. He just put up that boundary with her. Like, this needs to end because I am in something with someone else. I don't need to go backtrack and tell her that I've been talking to 2 women. It sounds like they just made it official. Therefore, now is the starting point of you can't talk to anyone else, not before.
Yes, exactly. Everybody in the history of dating has had a little bit of an overlap. Like if you're dating 2 people and then you decide to get with one person, you got to then let the other one go or whatever. And like, you just don't talk about that with your current person. That's just the way it goes.
Right.
And he wrote, I have been there for you as a friend, which I have made very clear. And not only is it not your business, as I only mentioned it to you out of respect and friendship, but I have not been flirting with you or sexting you in any way where it would be inappropriate at this time to start dating someone. And if anything, I have felt for you. And if anything, I have felt for your change and tried to be a good and supportive friend as you transition to a scary new environment. And to be crystal clear, I have not flirted or sexted with you in any way, shape, or form in months, and went to say goodbye to you as a super kind gesture that you seem to have appreciated because it was kind. And then she posts from continuing on, I'm sorry if that's upsetting that I would move on at all 6 months later, but I've handled you and I with utmost love and respect. Thanks. Don't ruin all the kindness. You're better than that, which I never like a you're better than that.
Yeah.
And then she wrote in response to, as you transition to a scary new environment, she wrote, never really seen it as scary. And then he said, I have not, in response to her being like, to be crystal clear, and in response to him saying, I have not flirted or sexted with you in any way, shape, or form in months, she had seared through her text for holding my hand, right? That's
I think it was holding
just holding my dick. Oh, holding my dick. Sorry. Holding my dick. And he had written holding my dick on the 13th of July. So that was a month removed from that. And she goes, whatever helps you get through the day. Got to focus on mine now. Adios. He said, new side of you, Sarah. I care about you and will always be your friend.
What is adios? And then way. Do you think that's a typo or is that a thing that the kids are saying?
Maybe that was their
like
pet name.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
like "que on the way," like it's a SoCal
By the way,
thing.
I heard a new
Oh.
Gen Z phrase the other day. A girl was talking to her friend. I overheard it in a shop in New York during Anya's wedding weekend. And this girl was talking to her friend and she was like, and then my dad was like, "You're spending too much money on clothes." And I was like, "Dad, say less." And I was like, I love say less. And then I
Yeah.
Googled say less slang
Oh, yeah,
and it's
no.
very much a thing.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
it's almost over actually. Say less.
I know. I'm really late to that. It's like that word chuggy or whatever, which means kind of like, okay. So he said, "New side of you, Sarah. I care about you and will always be your friend, as I have been. Yes, we sexted 2 months ago."
That's such
All
a
right,
funny
well,
thing to say.
So that was 1.5 months, but you know, whatever. He's rounding up. He said, "Screenshotting intimate text between us is a huge triggering violation for me and breach of trust as a friend. And I have explained to you about breaches of trust. I have been This is all one sentence. And I have explained to you about breaches of trust I have had between trusted friends recently that have caused me trauma. Period. I am incredibly hurt and feel a lack of safety where I've always trusted you. Period. I'm sorry if a former partner moving on is painful and I empathize with that. Space. But I have done nothing wrong. And if I wasn't a public person, I wouldn't have I wouldn't face this kind of violation and have shared that with you. And then watching you be like this today shatters my ability to trust anybody even
What?
further. Period.
That's a little extreme.
I have always shown you kindness and support." It is extreme, but like
I
that
get
is
it.
probably extremely triggering to be like, okay, this person, he probably saw all of this coming in that moment. What's the word? Deluged? What's the word when things all come out at once? Blood?
Squirting.
Diarrhea.
Deluge.
Oh.
Like, what is it? It's like, well,
Yeah,
anyway.
deluge.
Of text messages that she shared. Like, he probably saw this coming in that moment and is freaking out because, listen, she is capable of this. He goes on to say, "I have nothing to hide in my life, but I'm still entitled to safety and privacy just like you or anyone else's. Period. Space. I thought
And
you'd
then she
understand and honor
replied,
that."
"Oh, just you wait."
Yeah, right. "This has really shattered my sense of faith in you as a human. I thought we would always be friends, Sarah. I've done nothing wrong and I'm sorry if you're bummed, but this line of texting today has really deeply let me down and broken my trust as a friend." She said, I'm just showing your own text to me. Can you put yourself in my shoes for a sec? How I might feel gaslit by your behavior and communication." He said, "I'm happy to speak on the phone, but no."
That
All
is
right,
a good point. He's like, "I can't believe you would screenshot text." And she's like, "I'm just screenshotting the
I agree.
sext."
But he's triggered because apparently recently
Right.
he had a breach of trust within his close personal friends. He says, "So to say you feel gaslit when I was being nice is absurd. You are hurt that I kissed someone and am beginning to date. Fair. You have not been gaslit. You have been treated, in fact, incredibly both emotionally and financially." Woo! I just saw that word.
That's a whole other thing. I guess. Anyway, go on.
What?
I believe that because I went down a deep dive on her Instagram story, she said no to a lot of jobs and opportunities because he was asked. I think he paid for her and helped pay for law school and helped pay for therapy. But she was sort of starting to say goodbye and no to work opportunity stuff for him for the relationship.
Right. Okay.
So it seems like at this point there's been a transition, whereas before she was prepping for her deposition, and now Jonah is prepping for his deposition because everything he's saying at this point is like is like very.
He's aware that he's being
even-keeled.
screenshot.
Yes, I am. I know this is coming, and I am going to say everything perfectly above board here. And I think he's doing a pretty good job, other than
Yeah,
I
like
mean, this goes on and on.
it goes
I
on
for
can't
a
even
long time.
imagine reading through all of this. I
what
don't
this
even
comes down
care.
to is like this is not something that we should be seeing at all.
Yes.
This is just a
Yes,
breakup
what
bullshit.
the fuck? Final
This is just
thought.
breakup
Let's just
bullshit.
say what it is. This is an invasion of privacy. Go to therapy. Share this with your girlfriends. We've all done it. I mean, I go through my photos sometimes and it is literally like I have probably 70,000 photos on my phone. 10% are screenshots of texts from guys that would never love me to my girlfriends. Okay.
Yeah.
I would never in my wildest dreams go on and post them on my Instagram story. It's an unhinged behavior. There's no question about it. It's not a good look. Jonah might not have acted perfectly in this. One thing I did enjoy that isn't on this BuzzFeed thing that I was reading from, he said that he didn't want pictures of her ass up, but it was the picture. There was an ass picture that she posted, which is the reason they started dating. and talking
He
on
responded
DM.
to it. Yeah.
No, I mean,
that might
they
be to
should have
say that,
broken
like-
up. They should have
Yeah.
broken up because Jonah Hill's boundaries were crossed, but he should have known that those boundaries were going to be crossed when he started
Because he's dating a
surfer.
girl that he went after. I thought you said stripper, but surfer.
Yeah.
Did
I say stripper?
he knew what she was when he went in. So he should have, maybe he learned along the way he can't handle that. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, we shouldn't be seeing this. This is, Noah said it before. You feel like this is doxing.
Well, yeah, I just don't feel right about tar and feathering someone. We weren't there for their relationship. We don't know the whole story. And I just agree, like, to me, doxing is one of the most cruel things. I don't care who it's about. I just don't like it. And I wish that it won't happen. It's cruel.
I know. As soon as this all was posted, I felt like this girl needs some help and probably needs to go see a therapist and get some. She seems,
Or maybe
not
she's seeing too
quite
many.
well. We do have BetterHelp as our sponsors, so I wanted to say I believe
could
that
use your
therapy
promo code.
is very helpful, and you could use promo code I think
Nikki Glaser.
Jonah Hill.
to get promo code Hill. But listen, people were, I think the initial response was like, how dare this guy? And then I think now the tide is kind of turning and people are kind of opening their eyes to like, why do we even get to see this in the first place? And I feel like this girl, I felt this way before when people have moved on too quickly and you're hurt and you know that you can't get them back. So why not just, and you're kind of releasing it to like warn other women.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking about her end game or her motive. We were talking about motives earlier, and I heard her say in a voice memo that her motive was to reach this new girlfriend and mom of his kid. And I'm wondering why.
Why not
Like-
just DM her?
Yeah. And also I think to educate other women, like this is not boundaries. This is controlling behavior. This is asking me to, change
It's not her
myself.
job anymore.
Yeah,
It's
like
her-
who
it's
asked
not
her
her problem?
to be the savior of all women?
Yeah.
I don't think this was healthy on either side, but I don't feel like we should be reading these texts. And it does
What's
make
the
you
verdict?
think like
Judge Nikki.
the verdict.
Yeah, Jonah.
I
in the
mean-
case of Jonah versus, I don't know the girl's name. The surfer.
I don't want to date Jonah Hill. I don't feel like would be someone that I could date because of the way that I would feel very upset if someone asked me to remove stuff like that or like thought I was being like slutty or wanting attention for doing the thing that like is required of my career. Like, what does he expect her to swim in and to surf in? Like a burqa? I don't
Wetsuit,
get
Like a
it.
Mormon.
I think he asked for a wetsuit.
That's fucking crazy. I'm sorry. It's insane. He shouldn't have asked that stuff. But the verdict is, guys, watch out for
Yeah.
guys. I mean, just know that your texts aren't safe and that
And
you could
girls,
see,
everything
like
can be
rereading this where he
screenshot.
was like, you could see the shift in the way he talked. His grammar got better. His sentence structure got more complete. Right after he realized she was screenshotting, it was like, uh-oh, time for damage control. And
this
you
is
could
going to
see-
be on the
but
Nikki
he
Glaser
should've-
podcast.
He should have realized it earlier. You know, that this is, oh, fuck, my voice lesson. I didn't text my fucking teacher that I wasn't happening today. God damn it. But yeah, he should have realized it earlier. That this was going to be a problem. But this is when guys are just like horny and they're not thinking and they shoot off text to some hot girl. Like, just jerk off before you text someone. Stop dating people who are going to screenshot your text. Stop dating girls in their 20s.
Yeah.
Is she in her 20s? I'm guessing she is.
Yeah,
And
I'm
he's like
guessing
nearly
so.
40. He's my
Mhm.
age. So yeah, stop dating women in their 20s. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's the
There's-
takeaway from it.
There's one line on Jonah
Not
Hill's
that he
text
deserved it.
that
Yeah.
says, I want to highlight that says, "You have not been gaslit," which is like,
I don't think you
mean,
could say that sentence.
I don't think you can say that.
You can't? Why is that wrong?
It's an oxymoron. To tell someone they haven't been gaslit, you're
It is
like
gaslighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, grammatically, that was correct.
But I do believe that gaslighting has taken on a new fucking, like, everything's gaslighting. Like, someone on Reddit recently was like, gaslighting, by the way, is not, if a guy lies to you, it's not gaslighting. Like, gaslighting does require lying, but not every lie is a gaslight. Like,
Right.
gaslighting equals lying, but lying does not equal gaslight.
I was also confused about her calling it gaslighting because I think he said, like, we haven't sexted in 5 months or something. And then she screenshotted and he's like, fine, 4 months or whatever. I'm getting the details wrong. But it was like 1 month off. That doesn't really make it gaslighting.
It's a little bit because he said 3 months and then she proved him wrong with a month and a half earlier. He said, I'm holding my dick. And then he goes 2 months. So it's like, no, it's a month and a half, like that kind of
But
stuff.
is it a
but
crime
I don't really
to
care about the
sex an
semantics.
ex? Who cares? Like, it's not a crime.
Well, now his
Right?
girlfriend knows now, or his baby mama or whoever he's with now knows. And honestly, I wouldn't care if I were her. I'd be like, I would just be like, why did you date a girl that would do this? What's
it's
wrong
like
with
The
you?
Bachelor last year on The Bachelor. Remember the guy like told everyone, like, just so I want to be transparent, I fucked everyone on this show. And the girl was like, I don't want to know that.
I know I'm gonna have people coming after me or like thinking that I'm just like anti-woman, but I just think I'm pro mental health, and I think this girl needs a better outlet than her Instagram stories to process all of this, and that I don't think her motive is to protect women and to educate women and to help girls that were in the same spot as she was.
With? Maybe she.
I think it's just to hurt the woman he's with. Yeah, that's what I think she's trying to do because she's jealous. And
but I also think we should be gentle with both of these people because everybody's hurting. And I was 20 and crazy before too. And I remember thinking, like, if I found out someone cheated on someone I know, I would tell them because I would want to know. And then as I got older, I'm like, it's none of my business. Like, I slowly learned some things are my business and some things are not. And this whole thread felt like none of my business. And I went.
I know. I'm glad we spent a good 45 minutes on it. I love you guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I'll see you on set, Brian, in just a second. And thank you, Noah and Anya. Happy marriage, Anya. And we'll see you next week on the show. Don't be good. And just don't text girls that you might think are going to screenshot your stuff. Okay? Come on.